Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Now that we have the conclusion of the SEC v. Ripple case, which ended yesterday, as I'm sure you've all heard by now, the question is, will either side, Ripple or the SEC, appeal any part of the decision from Judge Torres? Now, I think most critically, people are concerned about the SEC appealing and what that might mean specifically for the price of XRP. And nobody knows for sure. Maybe the market gets a little spooked. I have a hard time believing that it would actually in any sort of material way impact XRP actually going on a bull run this market cycle. Because XRP does have that legal clarity, and that's not even something that is actually appealable. So unless the market doesn't understand that, I don't see how it's ultimately a problem for XRP. But certainly, at a minimum, in the short term, I think that it could cause fear in a number of people. That's certainly possible. And so not to scare anybody here, I'm just going to share with you opinions from several attorneys within the XRP community, including attorney Jeremy Hogan, who is effectively warning that the SEC is probably, though not certainly, going to appeal the Torres decision. Now, he's not putting at like a 90 or 100% odds. I'll show you exactly what he had to say, but I'll tell you here at the outset, so as to not tease too much, he does think it's more likely than not the SEC is going to appeal. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. Now, I've actually got opinions from 4 attorneys within the XRP community, and 3 of them do think what's most probable is that there will be an appeal by the SEC. And I'm not an attorney. I just play one on YouTube. I don't really have, to be honest with you, a strong opinion on this and whether or not it's likely or not likely to happen. Anyway, that's why I want to share with you perspective from actual attorneys here. Now, as far as posturing, this could be giving a hint. So take a look at this post from Eleanor Turt, a Fox Business Network journalist, and she reached out to the SEC. Take a look at this. She writes today, just this morning, new, I reached out to the SEC for comment on the Ripple ruling, and a spokeswoman gave me this statement. So this is from the SEC. This is an official statement from the SEC. So look at how the posturing is unfolding here. The court granted the SEC's motion for remedies, including an injunction barring Ripple from committing additional violations of the securities laws and significant civil monetary penalties, totaling more than 12 times the amount Ripple suggested was appropriate. As the court found, the fact that Ripple has shown a willingness to push the boundaries of the court's summary judgment order evinces a likelihood that it will eventually, if it has not already, cross the line. The court also addressed the egregiousness of Ripple's conduct and noted that there is no question that the recurrent, highly lucrative violation of Section 5 is a serious offense. As court after court has stated, the securities laws apply when firms offer and sell investment contracts, regardless of the technology or labels that they use. And so that's the end of the quote. And then she writes, the response from both sides shows that each feels they got the better deal. Ripple is celebrating because the fine was $1.75 billion less than what the SEC originally suggested. The SEC is celebrating because Ripple now has to pay 12 times the amount it originally suggested, and the judge agreed that the firm had violated securities laws. Based on all of this, I feel an appeal of the remedies ruling from either side is unlikely. I think it's more likely that the SEC would appeal the July 2023 ruling now that the final judgment has been reached. But I say that while wearing my I'm not a lawyer t-shirt. And so fair enough, and that's why I'm just like, guys, I don't know. I'm just going to share with you what the attorneys say. I'm not one. Although obviously the way that the SEC's posturing, this would be a piece of evidence that would lead one to believe that at least to some degree it's less likely the SEC would file an appeal. I mean, how are they going to say, yeah, this is a slam dunk, we're winning, because that's what the type of statement this is. But then they're like, but we don't like what happened, because we're the bitch-ass SEC, we're a bunch of ass-hat pricks. You know, these things don't mesh, right? I mean, they could do it, because they truly are a bunch of ass-hat pricks. Are they gonna? I mean, we'll see here. Now, attorney Fred Rispoli, he does not think that the SEC is going to be appealing. In fact, he wrote the following. This language from both sides is exactly what you typically see from parties that are content with the ruling and do not want to appeal. And so I hope he's right. Again, I'm not pretending to know. I hope that he is indeed correct. Jungle Link responded to him and said, "It really seems like both sides got enough here. Risk is also high for either to appeal. If everyone is being rational about this, I think it's over." And then Fred responded with the little 100 emoji. So the question is the SEC actually going to be rational here? Well, we'll see here. And by the way, in case you missed this is the post from Brad Garlinghouse yesterday. The SEC asked for $2 billion, and the court reduced their demand by 94%, recognizing that they had overplayed their hand. "We respect the court's decision and have clarity to continue growing our company. This is a victory for Ripple, the industry, and the rule of law. The SEC's headwinds against the whole of the XRP community are gone." And so there you go. Both sides arguing, yeah, we won. That's the tone, right? Now, I would certainly argue that Ripple got all the stuff that matters. So, I mean, just about anyway. Like, if you break it down, Ripple got the way better deal out of this thing. The SEC got almost nothing they wanted. And you love to see it, because they're on the wrong side of history. There's this post from attorney James Murphy, aka Meta Lawman. "Just waiting now for a message from Gary Gensler on the Ripple judgment. He will try to position it as a victory, of course. I doubt he will tip his hand on whether they will appeal. Typically, a lawyer will be assigned the task of preparing a summary of what the issues on appeal would be and what their chances of prevailing are. That takes some time." Yeah, and so that means that the SEC might not even know right this second if they're going to appeal. They could just still be analyzing that, and they've got 60 days to do so if they're going to from yesterday. Now, attorney Murphy here, though, he does think what's most probable is the SEC is going to appeal. And so there was this video clip that goes on for about 3.5 minutes, and he did a full breakdown. He was with Scott Melker, aka the Wolf of Wall Street, and he did a nice breakdown of why he thinks that's most likely. And he noted, well, so a couple things. He said not getting disgorgement is a huge deal for the SEC and very bad for them, because how are they gonna get anything that they actually want in future cases if this is the standard? And he noted that the Second Circuit actually changed the law late last year, requiring a loss. An actual financial loss to be shown if disgorgement is required to be paid by a defendant. So that's a lucky break for Ripple. That had a material impact here. But he also noted the Fifth Circuit does not have the same requirement, so that's not total agreement. And attorney Murphy thinks that makes it much more likely the SEC will appeal. And he also thinks it's crucial for the SEC to go after the Torres decision about XRP sales on exchanges. Now, I'll just pause and note, of course, on the status of XRP itself, that was dicta, and as noted first by attorney Hogan, that's not something that is even appealable from a technical perspective. But he also noted, attorney Murphy, that the SEC already sought interlocutory appeal in the Ripple lawsuit, which is, it's as a reminder, that's just basically a request for expedited appeal. They did that about a year ago, and that was ultimately denied. Because, they did that because they were so opposed to the Torres decision about XRP transactions on crypto exchanges. And so the fact they did that a year ago, just about, lends credence to the idea that they may go for a regular appeal now that the case is completely over. And that's the point that attorney Murphy made. Here's a post from attorney Jeremy Hogan. He says, "I've settled on a 60% chance that the SEC appeals. Judge Torres' opinion is an outlier, and no one seems to be following it yet, so it doesn't hurt the SEC as much as it might have. And an appeal could also, of course, backfire as well. But I still think a 60% chance because the SEC doesn't operate like a normal litigant." Yeah, and so that's certainly true. Now, I will note that, I believe it was the Binance lawsuit a little over a month ago, the judge in that case actually cited the Torres decision as far as the actual legal status of XRP. So there was something there. Now, the degree to which that would be precedent, binding precedent, I'm not an attorney, so I actually don't know for sure. But I just wanted to mention that there was at least one other court that actually cited the Torres decision as like, yeah, I'm going with this. Thought it made sense. So take it for what it's worth. And then you have attorney Bill Morgan. He was brief here, but he reposted that from attorney Hogan, and he said, "I agree. More likely than not." So again, I'm not making a prediction, but there's perspective from 4 attorneys within the XRP community. One says, doesn't look like they're likely to appeal, at least, certainly not based on the way that they're posturing, at least. And then the other three think that it is, to some degree, more likely than not that the SEC will appeal. And we gonna find out together, but I'm really not concerned big picture for what this means for XRP personally, because I'd have to be given a reason to think that this actually matters and is some sort of monumental negative. I'm not seeing it right now. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.